Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome, my dear brothers. May Allah Azza wa Jal reward you immensely for coming. Alhamdulillah, all praises to Allah Azza wa Jal, the creator of heaven and earth and everything that exists in between. And may His everlasting peace and blessings be upon His greatest creation, our Master Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is a few brothers still praying. Please, nobody else start because the majlis is about to begin. What I would ask the brothers, just bearing in mind the brothers that are praying, to avoid them, to come forward and to create a nice, neat semicircle and come towards the front as much as you can, because what happens is, don't be deceived by the people that are in the masjid at the moment, because towards the end, more and more people will come as they finish work and come to the masjid. So this way, then we don't cause any further disturbance in the gathering. The other thing I'd like to do is ask my dear brothers to put their hands in their pockets, take out their mobile phones, and then put them on silent. That way we don't cause any disturbance. And it's even better to switch them off or put them away. Don't even have them in front of you. Unless you're going to be taking notes with the phone, then it's okay, alhamdulillah. Also, bearing in mind you're in the house of Allah Azza wa Jalla and the masjid has certain rights upon you, try not to lean against the walls. And I don't like saying this because there is brothers who do, and it's more important that you feel comfortable. It's more important that you feel comfortable. There's no point you sitting in the middle, and if your knees and ankles are aching and then you can't concentrate. So it's important that you feel comfortable. So don't lean against the walls unless you have to. You know, if your knees ache and your joints ache and then you need the wall, then alhamdulillah, stay leaning against the wall. There's no compulsion. But bearing in mind it's the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the masjid has certain rights upon you, and bear that in mind. Also, when you come in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, every gathering has its own etiquettes. And the etiquettes of the gathering of ilm are of the highest. So one of the etiquettes of coming into the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, listening to a nasiyah or a bayan, is to leave all your preconceived ideas outside. Now what is meant by leaving your preconceived ideas outside is empty your cup, empty your heart, empty your mind. Because if your heart and mind are already full, what do you aim to put into it? An ocean could be poured onto a glass that's upside down. You won't get an ounce of water in it. So turn your heart and minds in the direction of Allah Azza wa Jal. For not a leaf moves without the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. You didn't come to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal by yourself. Were you driven, or were you, did you drive here? Did you come? Nobody lets you into their own house without their own will. They open the door and they invite you in. Allah Azza wa Jalla has invited you to His own house. So you've come here with His will. So turn your attention to Allah Azza wa Jalla and your hearts and minds towards Him, and beseech Him, Ya Allah, change our states permanently. For we've been listening and listening and listening. And if you look through the history of time, never, ever in the history of time has the human being ever had so much information at his fingertips. Never in the history. 100 years ago, you could barely, afford a book. Never mind, even seeing a book was, rare. A book used to be worth £100. They were very rare because there wasn't mass printing. They were handwritten, and there were libraries in them days, but you couldn't take books out of the libraries. People used to go in and memorize the whole book. So what I'm trying to say is that now you and I walk with the Quran, the Bukhari Sharif, everything in our pockets. So, but the thing here is, never been as many TV stations. Nobody's ever heard as many bayans. But why is the state of our ummah, the state of the Muslims, why is it not getting any better? The fact is, we listen with the wrong intentions. We listen with the intention of entertainment, to learn something new, but our hearts and minds are not tuned to Allah Azza wa Jal. So if we tune our hearts and minds to Allah Azza wa Jal and say, Ya Allah, you guide me. It's only by His guidance that we are guided, not through listening. So when you listen with the correct intention, then you should have the intention of learning what pleases Allah Azza wa Jal, and then to make a firm intention there, and then to, the intention to follow it up. And to also to learn what displeases Allah Azza wa Jal, and then to make an intention to abstain from such things that are displeasing to Allah Azza wa Jal. Also have the correct intention when you come to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Intentions are very, very easy things, and they're very fragile things. They can very easily change. So the intention, because it's so easy, because it's just a thought process, you should make your intention of the highest, and the highest is the most noblest, is the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. You should make it for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. Ya Allah, let this act of mine, let this deed, let me come into your house be only for your pleasure. And then also to examine that intention in the middle and towards the end. Also remember that the person who's given the nasiyah is not talking through his own volition. When he recites the Quran, know that Allah Azza wa Jal is talking to you through the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jal himself is Noor, his words are Noor, but the words are just vehicles. And let that Noor enter into you and settle into your heart. Also when the speaker, if he recites or quotes a hadith of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, imagine and take yourself to the moment when the Prophet, peace be upon him, spoke them words amongst the Sahaba Ajma'in. And if you bear some of these etiquettes, inshallah, there's many, many more, but we need to be getting on, the time is passing by. And so if you bear these few etiquettes, inshallah, you'll benefit immensely. Brother Wasim, are we playing one? Yeah, we're going to be playing a naat. And when playing this naat, it is bring yourself into the moment. You've got to get into that frame of mind. You know about sports personalities and things like that. If they're doing any sport, but if they're not there mentally, they can't perform. So you have to bring yourself into, leave the dunya outside, empty your mind and heart, and be in the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal. Close your eyes, imagine the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. Let your heart be doing the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Close your eyes and take yourself to the blessed masjid of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Stand in front of there and send durood upon the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then, inshallah, you'll be primed and be very receptive, inshallah, when the nasiyah is given. So, without further ado, I'll ask my brother Wasim to recite the naat. So when that naat is being recited, just close your eyes wherever you are and do a little muraqabah that Allah Azza wa Jal changes all our states permanently. And one of the best things to do is to pray for your older brother sat next to you, and that way an angel will pray for you. Jazakallah. May Allah bless you all.
On that day, when there will be no one to begin the resurrection, then mankind will turn to the chosen one. In sajda he will fall, then his Lord will call. You can ask whatever you may, for you will be given today. My ummah will be his cry. Oh Allah, grant them a high status in your paradise. This is all I want today. صلي على سيدنا محمد نبي الأمي الهاشمي وآله وصحبه وسلم. يا نبي يا نبي يا نبي يا حبيبي يا حبيبي يا حبيب يا حبيبي يا حبيب يا حبيبي يا اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد
Alhamdulillah. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him and seek His help and His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from our soul's evils and our wrongdoings. He whom Allah guides, no one can misguide, and he whom He misguides, no one can guide. I bear witness there is no God except Allah alone without any partners, and I bear witness that Muhammad ﷺ is the servant and messenger of Allah. O Allah, send your prayers upon Muhammad and the followers of Muhammad, just as you sent prayers upon Ibrahim and upon the followers of Ibrahim. Verily you are the most praiseworthy and majesty. O Allah, send blessings upon Muhammad and upon the family of Muhammad, just as you sent blessings upon Ibrahim and upon the family of Ibrahim. Verily you are full of praise and majesty. O Prophet, indeed we have sent you as a witness and a bringer of good tidings and a warner, and one who invites to Allah by His permission, and an illuminating lamp, and give good tidings to the believers that they will have from Allah a great bounty. As you are aware, this month that we're in is Rabi al-Awwal, and in the following verse of Quran, Allah mentions some of the qualities of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he is a giver of good tidings for the believers, and he is also a warner for the disbelievers. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the greatest of blessings, because all other blessings come from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even if you count the greatest of blessings, the Quran, Iman, knowledge of Allah, without Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we would not even have any of these, not one. In fact, we wouldn't even know who Allah is without Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today we're going to mention one aspect of prophethood and how to thank Allah for the blessings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how to truly benefit in Rabi al-Awwal. You see, what we don't understand is Sunnah, we take it lightly. We just think Sunnah is something that is optional. But it's actually a right of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just as you have parents and their right is that you respect them, and that you, when they are older, you look after them and you don't utter any disrespectful thing to them. Or you have Allah and His rights, that you pray 5 times a day, that you do Hajj once in your life, or that you fast in Ramadan. The Sunnah is the right of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just as they are the rights of just as the Salah is the right of Allah. And not following the Sunnah is a failure on the Day of Judgment. Why? Because again, it is the right, and you will be questioned on all the rights that you did not acknowledge and you didn't follow. Now, people celebrate in this month the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their own ways. Many people do khatams, other people are happy. But the Islamic teachings of how to thank Allah for the blessing of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is like, for example, if somebody give us an Audi, a nice expensive car, and we didn't drive it, we could look at it every day or look at it once a year. It doesn't. You will not benefit from it. In the same way, Allah has sent Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Just celebrating the life once a year, or just looking through the seerah once a year, is not going to benefit from it. You will only, like the car, you will only benefit once you drive it. And in the same way, you will only benefit from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when you acknowledge why they came here, and you then follow what they were sent with. And only then will you acknowledge them, and you will appreciate them, and you will make use of that blessing. Now Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they were a mercy of all creation, from jinnat to angels to universe to even stars, to every creation. And the greatest blessing is that we were chosen for them to come to. They didn't come, Allah could have sent them to the angels. Allah could have sent them to the jinn, but they sent them to mankind so that we could become the best of creation. So there's no doubt that Rasulullah has come on this earth. There were people who were living at the time who saw them. Now, they saw Rasulullah. Now, we need to ponder and think, Rasulullah came onto this dunya, came onto this earth, but did they come into our lives? That's our question. Now, they came into, if you look at, for example, people who saw them, there were two Umars that saw them. One, they came into the life of Umar al-Khattab, who became Al-Faruq, the Caliph of the Muslims. And they also came into the life of Abu Jahl, whose name is also Amr bin Hisham, and he became cursed. Both names are Umar, but one became the Khalif and Al-Faruq, and one became cursed. And Abu Jahl, the father of all the Jahils, the ignorance. Now, here we have to understand that in whose life Rasulullah enters, that Umar as well will become Al-Faruq. And whoever's life Rasulullah does not enter, that Umar will also become Abu Jahl. So we need to think and ponder about this, that me and you do not fall into the category of Abu Jahl. On the Day of Judgment, we be the right Umar, not the wrong Umar. Now, Rasulullah came into dunya for everyone, but have they entered our lives? Have they not come into our lives? If they have not come into our lives, we have failed and will be people of hell. If they have, then we are successful. We will be people of Jannah with the mercy of Allah. Now, Rasulullah came into dunya, but has Rasulullah come into our character? Have they come into our manners and morals? Are we merciful towards people, or are we harsh? Are we giving towards others, or are we selfish? If we are giving towards others, then Rasulullah has come into your life. If Rasulullah hasn't, then our characteristics are shaitanic, and we will go to where he is going. See, there's two choices in every situation that a person has. It's either to follow Rasulullah or to follow shaitan. That's the choice a person has. And whatever qualities and the manners that the person adopts, then they are either choosing shaitan or they are choosing Rasulullah. For example, if a person is merciful towards people, he is choosing Rasulullah. But if a person is harsh towards people, then he is following shaitan and choosing shaitan. So it is a blessing for us that Rasulullah came. But for people like Abu Jahl, it's a punishment. Rasulullah came in their lifetime, but they've been punished because of it. And for example, for Abu Lahab, it's a punishment. They were the uncle of Rasulullah, and it's well documented that they actually freed a slave at the birth of Rasulullah. We celebrating the birth of Rasulullah 1400 years after they were alive, and they actually celebrated by freeing a slave, but they're in punishment as well. Why? Because it's not about whether Rasulullah has come into the dunya. The question is, has Rasulullah come into our life? Why? Because in their life, the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not come. That's why Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab are both in punishment right now. Now, another question is, has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come, but has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam come into our financial dealings or not? How I earn my money, spend my money, whether I've earned it through fraud or selling haram products like alcohol and interest, or for example, I'm taking benefit fraud, or for example, as you know how many people have car accidents, is it insurance fraud? These are rights of the people as well. Some people think that, oh, it's okay, let's work and also let's take our benefits. But the reality is that benefit that they're taking is from the public fund. Imagine how many people are putting their money into the public fund. 20 million in this country that are getting taxed. So you're taking 20 million people's rights. See, this is where we have to look if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has actually come into our lives. It's no point for one day we're happy. We have to acknowledge, again, it comes back to the Audi. If someone gives you the Audi as a gift, how do you acknowledge and appreciate that car? Is by driving it, not looking at it once in a year. In the same way, if Allah sent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam into our lives, how do we appreciate that? Is by acting upon their sunnah and whatever they came with. That's when you're actually going to acknowledge, and you're going to have the actual nice feeling of driving. Like for example, if you have the nice feeling of the car, it's when you drive the car. In the same way, you will have the nice feeling of and the love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once you follow them. So again, has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come, but have they come into my dealings with people, financial dealings with people, whether I'm earning my rizq haram or halal? And if they haven't come into my financial dealings, then I have failed. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam even mentioned, to the nearest meaning, a martyr, all his sins are forgiven before a single drop of his blood falls on the ground, except for financial matters, the rights of other people. So think about it. Even he will have to compensate or face punishment on the day of judgment. A martyr, a sincere martyr who gave his life for Allah Azza wa Jal. What's more precious than that? There's nothing more precious than that. Again, so has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam come into our way of eating and drinking? If they have not come in our way of eating and drinking, our way of eating and drinking is shaitanic. If the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not followed, then shaitan is feeding that person. There was a story at the time of the Sahaba that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba, they went for a dawat at a house, and before they were about to eat, a child was there, and the child with his left hand, he quickly grabbed some food, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam grabbed his hand. And it was mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in this meeting, mentioned that I am holding the hand of shaitan, not the child's hand at that point. It was the shaitan's hand. And it was the moral of that story is that if you don't follow the sunnah, if you don't pray the dua before eating, or you don't eat with your right hand, you're actually feeding shaitan at that time. He's actually eating from you. So if he's already eating from you and you're feeding him and he's getting stronger, he's only going to influence you more. So if you don't follow the sunnah, that's another way shaitan is influencing you. So if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not come into my eating and drinking, then in that part I have failed. Now clothing, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come onto this dunya, but has he come in the way of my clothing or not? If my clothing resembles the disbelievers or fashion industry or models, then I have failed. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the clothing that's below the ankles, that part of the person's foot and that part of his body is in hellfire. But we don't even acknowledge that. And some people say that I'm just wearing it below my ankles, but I'm not doing it out of arrogance. But for me and you, is the sunnah not an example? Or are they not our prophet that we have to make excuses? Or for example, when sisters or women wear tight clothes, it said that it says that a person who wears tight clothes, he won't even be able to smell heaven. Never mind look at it or enter it. You won't even be able to smell it, even a distance, and you will be able to smell heaven at a distance of 500 years. But because of the tight clothes and attracting the opposite sex, they won't be able to smell it. Never mind, if you can't even smell it, how are you going to enter it? In the same way, if our clothing is not in line with the Sunnah, how then that part of, if Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has not come into our clothing, then that part of our life is a failure. Again, so Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has come, but has Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam come onto our face or not? And has the blessed beard and the face, the blessed face, does it resemble our face? Allah swore a qasam on their beloved face in the Quran, such is their beautiful face and their beard. So if Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has not come onto my face, then in that part I am a failure. Another area where it is conversations. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has come, but did he come into our conversations or not? Has he come into our talking or not? Our way of talking, our way of conversing. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, their whole life they didn't swear. They never hurt anybody's feelings, neither did they backbited anyone. And this is Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam coming into your speech. And if they have not come in our way of talking, then Jannah is not guaranteed for that person. As we are already aware, that a person is guaranteed Jannah if he does what? If he protects his tongue and he protects his private area. So if you can't protect your tongue, then or if you're guaranteed Jannah if you do protect your tongue. If you don't protect your tongue, you're not guaranteed Jannah. So that's another area where, if as Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam entered into our life. Walking, has Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam come into our walking? And how Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to walk with humbleness and not with arrogance, not walking towards sinful places, not walking towards meeting the opposite sex, walking towards cinema, walking towards pubs, for example, and not to take a step towards them places, not even to think about walking in them places. So if we have to ask ourselves, has Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam entered into our lives, into our walking? And if they have not, then in that part, currently, I am a failure. We have to look also at our eyes. Has Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam come into our seeing? How Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to look down with humbleness. There is stories that when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to walk, that branches, they used to get stuck on their chadar mubarak. Why is that? It's because they used to look down to such an extent that they didn't even used to look up to see what's coming in front of them. That they used to walk so humbly on the earth. Now, again, has Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam come into our lives in that aspect, or are we looking at sinful things? Are we looking at too much at materialistic things, or I'm looking at cars and always on looking at the latest cars on Auto Trader, or looking at the latest houses, driving past them, and just, even though we can't afford them, just looking for the sake of looking, because even that creates darkness in the heart, because it makes you want to look, it makes you want to go towards that thing. So, and also looking at the opposite sex, and seeing and looking at a girl, for example, or a girl looking at a boy. So if Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has not come into my way of looking, then in that part I have failed. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has come onto this earth, onto this dunya. But has Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam come into the way we use our hands? How Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to use their hands in good things and in halal earning, not doing fraud, not touching the opposite sex, not harming people. But if we're doing any of the above three things, and then we say that we're celebrating Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's life and they're coming, how is that possible? We're doing the opposite of them. So if a person's, for example, if a person's harming people and he's going and touching the opposite sex and going to meet them, or he's doing fraud, or he's selling things, alcohol, selling drugs, things that he shouldn't be selling, then in that area he's a failure. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to use their hands to help people. We already know the story of Hazrat Bilal radiallahu anhu, how he came into Islam. One day his slave master used to make him work day and make him work night as well, and did not give him rest. One day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was walking past them, and they heard someone crying, and they went over and they seen Hazrat Bilal radiallahu anhu crying. So they mentioned that, what is the matter? And Hazrat Bilal radiallahu anhu mentioned that, my slave master, he is overworking me. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam helped Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu by helping him, letting him sleep half the night, and while Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam worked at that time. And that's how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam became, and that's how Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu accepted Islam. It's not by him coming towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went towards him. And that's something that we need to acknowledge. Sometimes we think that dawah is done by our mouths, and you see a lot of YouTube videos of people, they go into areas in parks and they're doing dawah, and they think that, we have to give dawah, but they don't understand they're doing more damage, because it's about what you don't say, that's where dawah is done, not where you talk, because actions speak louder than words, not the other way around. So in our way of dealing with people with our hands, has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered into our lives? And if they haven't, if you look closely at yourself, and I look closely at myself, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not come into our way of using our hands, then in that part of our life we are failures. Again, has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came onto this dunya, but has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam come into our hearing? How Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to listen to good things like the Quran, Qiraat, used to listen to in good things, and not listen to music, not listen to backbiting? Or are we listening to music, we're listening to backbiting, we're listening to slander? How is this possible that we try to appreciate and acknowledge Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and celebrate them, but at the same time we do the opposite of them? So if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not come into the way of our listening, then in that part we are failures. Now we need to ponder and think if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come into our lives in these matters, and if they haven't, then we are unsuccessful. There are many other matters in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam they come into our lives. For example, the way we go towards the bathroom. For example, the way we sit with people. For another example is when we sit within family. How do we sit? What do we talk about? And if at all do we sit? Majority of the people, young people, they probably sit once or twice a week, 1-2 hours a week with their parents, or have quality time of that sort. So we have to understand that if a person, he is not on the path of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's only one other path that he's on, and that is the path of shaitan. There's only two ways in this. There's no middle ground where you can do a bit and not do a bit. You either on one, you either choose Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a certain aspect, or you choose shaitan. For example, before, we all know it's sunnah to do wudu before we go to bed. So at that time, your nafs and shaitan saying, doesn't matter, you're tired. Don't do it today, you're tired. Do it tomorrow. At that point, we have to understand that, is it then, are we appreciating Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because are we following their command at that point, or are we following our desires and shaitan at that point? So only when we go into finer details of our life, we will see if we're really appreciating following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and really celebrating their life and celebrating their coming. Now, Allah has mentioned in the Quran, O believers, do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Meaning what? Meaning don't follow shaitan, but follow the sunnah and the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the actual true way of celebrating the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. as they were sent to this dunya to teach us. And so if someone's sent to, if, let's say for example, there is a teacher in school, how do you acknowledge that that teacher is, how do you appreciate that teacher? Is not by giving them chocolates at the end of the year. You appreciate that teacher whenever there's a class. Before you come to class, you go over your notes. When you're in class, you pay attention. You sit with the right adab and sit with the right respect. And then afterwards, you go over your notes when you're in class, or after class, when you're at home. That's how you appreciate that teacher and their time. So if you really want to appreciate Rasulullah, it's very easy. All you have to do is acknowledge that they have rights over you first. If you think that the Sunnah is optional, then you have to first understand that they have rights. They went through a lot of hardship to give this Sunnah. Now, in the same way, you have to have the right adab towards the Sunnah, and you have to practice in every aspect of your life. And that's the best way, and that's the only way of celebrating the birth of Rasulullah, as that's the best way of showing appreciation towards them, is by following their every command. And thankfully in this center, we have a course of self-purification, which goes over all these aspects that we've gone over, especially the hands, the eyes, the ears, the feet, the private area, the stomach. And what it does is, sometimes it's hard to follow a lot of these sunnahs at one go. But what that does is it systematically, one by one, week by week, it improves you to the point where in a year, 2 years, 3 years time, you'll be following the sunnah completely. And if you want to discuss that in more detail, you can come to myself or you can come to Ustaad Shafiq, and we can go over that in more detail with yourself. Thank you. And once that person is actually on this path, then that's the only way to be successful, because now he's actually appreciating Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah, now the ball is in your court. As the Ustaad mentioned about the course of self-purification, which I was going to elaborate on further, but please do see Ustaad Shaban or Ustaad Shafiq in regards to how you can bring the Sunnah into your life, your body, mind, heart and soul. Because remember, Sunnah isn't just about keeping a beard. The Sunnah of prayer is Fard Sunnah. So every action that we do, there is Faraid Sunnahs, Wajibat Sunnahs, and Sunnat Muqadda, etc., etc. So if you're leaving any of them, the essential ones, then it will most likely you might be punished for that if you die and Allah doesn't have fazl on you. Just a few announcements. As you know, Shaykh Ahmad Dabar, they are currently in Pakistan, and they have been invited to an international conference regarding spirituality. There's many ulamas and ustads that will be conducting speeches there, and many people from the parliaments will be there as well in Lahore and Islamabad. If you would like to view some of their lectures and bayans, especially when they are live, then you can go onto their Facebook page, which is Shaykh Ahmad Dabar, that you can see on the bottom there. But actually, if you look at the name, it says Shaykh Ahmad Dabar. They've changed their name now to just Ahmad Dabar. If you type that into your Facebook and like that, then all the programs and etc. that are being doing on a daily basis, like messages or videos, then inshallah you can keep up to date with them. And also, 2 more announcements. Another facility that's provided here, and now by the brothers and now the mashayikh, is regarding the illnesses and problems that we are facing, especially spiritually. A lot of us suffer from cholesterol, diabetes, knee problems, back problems, or we have issues with jinnat, or we know somebody who is maybe suffering regarding these matters. Then on the 25th of November, free of charge, this is something we're providing at the Pakistani Community Centre in Longsight, Manchester, 7 p.m. Brothers and sisters are invited to participate in that event, and inshallah they will help you and show you a way of how you can cure yourself from this. And the final announcement is regarding marriage workshop, which is going to be taking place in January. Now this is for brothers who are married and maybe struggling and having problems within their marriages. Yes, so rather than fighting each other, wrestling or giving each other silent treatment and then coming into the masjid sitting here like bichare, it is something that we should actually deal with. Yes, sometimes we are the part of the problem and we try to blame it on our spouses. So as a couple, you're invited to come, and if you're not married and you may be thinking of getting married very soon, 5 years, 10 years, then don't make the mistake a lot of us have made maybe, and we're learning the hard way, but learn how to improve and be a better person. So when you do come round to getting married, inshallah, you will know the way to react through your body, mind, heart and soul in the house structure. So for more information regarding that, come and see me and I will write your details down. Inshallah, we will contact you nearer the time. So Jazakallah khair, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you in this world and the hereafter. We're going to have the zikr majlis. So if all the brothers, I would like to request you can stand up please and get some energy flowing in your legs and blood flowing. Yes, brothers, if you want to stand up, just because it's another 20 minutes or so of sitting down now, and sometimes we need that extra stretch. And if you come forward, aage aaje thoda sa, please come forward. Inshallah, the closer you sit, inshallah, more benefit. Brothers at the back, if you can come a little bit forward, but give yourself a bit of room, because sometimes I like to move when I'm during my zikr, so I don't want to be kicking anyone. So please just give yourself plenty of space. So as you can see, the lights have been turned off. This is really to help you concentrate and bring the 3 keys into your mind. Yes, the 3 keys, what are they? They open up your link with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah is watching you. Yes, so know that He is watching you, He is with you, and He is going to listen to you. Not just your zikr, but any problems that you have, any needs and worries that you have, from your heart you can communicate with Him. And inshallah, surely He will answer. So Jazakallah khair.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق قل ادعوا الله أو ادعوا الرحمن أيما تدعوا فله الأسماء الحسنى الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم الله 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 القدوس السلام المؤمن الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار سبحان الله عما يشركون سبحان الله عما يشركون سبحان الله عما يشركون سبحان الله عما يشركون الله الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. Bless us with the goodness of this world and hereafter. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, we are directionless as you have mentioned in your holy book. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ. We are also aimlessly wandering here and there. Give us the true direction and purpose of life. Enable us to realize the true purpose of our life, which is to seek your pleasure. Enable us to realize why you have created us, what is our passion, which are the skills and abilities which you have blessed us with, and then enable us to pursue through them and to seek your pleasure and closeness and success in Akhirah, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Rabbal Alamin, forgive our wrongdoings and sins, major and minor. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, whatever we have fallen short of by fulfilling your rights of your Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, forgive us, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Rabbal Alamin, bless us with ta'ah and wisdom and knowledge from yourself, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Rabbal Alamin, give barakah and blessing in all the blessing and ni'mas you have given us. Give barakah in our iman and faith, our good deeds, our homes, our children, our wealth, and whatever you have provided us by your fadl. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, protect the life and honor and wealth and health of all the Muslims. Bless all the non-Muslims with the light of iman and light of faith. Bless all the sinners with the light of tawbah. And bless all the pious with the light of taqwa and light of acceptance. Ya Rabbal Alameen, whoever is ill in any way, physically, psychologically, mentally, spiritually, give them shifa. Especially one of the brothers who have asked for their blessed daughter Zoya, who have an illness. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, by your fadl and grace, give her shifa kamila, ajila, and complete shifa from her illness. And whoever children or parents or anyone is ill, give them shifa. We know all these are tests for us, and they are calling us back to your remembrance. Enable us to take lessons from it, and enable us actually to, Ya Rabbal Alameen, pay heed to it. Ya Arhamar Rahim, grant us lawful livelihood. Whoever is in search of livelihood and rizq and job and business, guide them actually to where there is benefit for them. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, by your fadl and grace, whoever have passed away with the light of Iman, forgive all those Muslim men and women, jinn and human beings since Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam up to now. Bless all the Muslims who are living with tranquility and peace. Wherever there is turbulence in countries like Syria, Iraq, Kashmir, Palestine, anywhere, Ya Rabbal Alameen, grant them peace and tranquility and safety so that they may live their lives with peace. And Ya Arhamar Rahimin, bless us with good rulers, enable us to become good subjects, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Bless us with good teachers and make us good students, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Enable us to become the best and the good worshippers of yours, and the best and the good ummatis of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ya Rabbal Alameen, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Whoever is in any journey or going on any expedition, give them success in their end, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Enable us to have victory and give us your victory over any bad and evil habit which we have developed over time. Ya Rabbal, enable us to conquer any habit of drug, any other evil habit, whatever actually it is, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Enable us to purify our bodies, mind and heart and soul, and enlighten our spirits with the ma'rifah and with your love and the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bless all these people, brothers and sisters who are here or who are not here, Ya Arhamar Rahim. Grant them peace in their hearts and tranquility in their hearts, and Ya Arhamar Rahim, bless them in whatever actually they intend to do lawfully. Save us from any unlawful desires and wishes, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. We are your sinful servants. Definitely there are pious people here in the majlis. They are angels, they are malaika, they are children, they are pious, righteous people. Ya Rabbi, because of their barakah, accept our du'as. Bless our parents, wherever parents are living, with the long health and long life, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. And whoever have passed away, and any relative who passed away, make their graves gardens of Jannah, Ya Rabbal Alameen, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلق سيدنا ونبينا وشفيعنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين آمين برحمتك يا رب.